Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce. Joyce, what a day. We're recording this on Wednesday, and the embargoes have just broke for Fallout and the Sympathizer.
Have you read any of them?
I have. I skimmed through some
No.
of them. How
I
about
just
you?
I just saw some of the headlines on my feed. I haven't read any, but what I expected.
Positivity, Joyce. We're here. A lot of
Yeah,
people loving these shows.
they're both good.
Uh, we'd start with Fallout, actually. One of our top drama contenders in a soft year for dramas, it seems.
And you could watch that tonight. Well,
Watch it
I
right
guess when
now.
everyone hears it tomorrow on Thursday. It'll have already been out. They changed the date.
You can watch the whole thing. They're so excited about it. They changed the date. Uh, They also have we both have moved our boy Walton Goggins into lead because he's a
Well,
lead
he
actor.
is lead, but
He
we
is
added
lead.
him.
Yes,
We already. Oh no, you didn't have him. I had him in
I
supporting.
had him in supporting too.
Did
I'll tell you
you?
what, I knew I had him in supporting because when I went to update my picks, I was
You're like,
like,
I gotta replace him.
who's I was like, who was deleted from this and who did I have? I didn't have any, couldn't figure it out. I was reading the whole thing. I was like, I don't remember who it was, and it was Walton Goggins, obviously, who I had then put in lead.
Um, yeah, he was I think he's the best part of the show.
Mm-hmm. Seems like they're already
So,
rolling out the Emmys carpet for him. It feels big.
well, he's currently shooting The White Lotus in
Yes.
Thailand. So, I feel like he's just done press whenever he can. So there's been a lot of profiles on him already.
And they're making, you know what? It's
And
like
they're great
great
because he's
profiles.
the
There was
best.
a big one in Vanity Fair that was basically like working actor makes good. Salt of the
It was
earth.
called the headline was like The Many Lives
Yeah.
of
I
Walton
was like,
Goggins.
there's gonna be this people want him to get Emmy nominated, it felt like. That's the big
He's the
takeaway.
best.
Um Fallout, here's the question with Fallout. We talked about this. Drama is I don't want to say weak, but light, would you say, on contenders or obvious contenders?
Um, it's I mean, it's weak. It's a weak field.
Here's the top four in the odds: The Crown, The Morning Show, The Gilded Age, and Slow Horses. Fifth in the odds is The Curse. That's how you know it's a soft year. Because I would be shocked if that gets in. Frankly, I don't have it in, and I don't think you have it in either.
The curse, I think, I mean, if this were last year, I would not have the curse in, but I do have the curse in.
Now, Fallout is still pretty far down the list. I think it's because people are just not uh, updating it as much, and now that the reviews are out and people are going to watch it, I think it'll start to move up pretty steadily.
I've always had Fallout in, and um, nothing I've seen of it would make me want to take it out, and I think it'll be a huge hit. I think the only question is like how will voters respond to it? And I can actually see it being it okay, the show reminds me of The Boys,
Right.
and I can see it being like The Boys. Like it could get into series and like directing for sure, not for sure, but like good chance directing
Mm-hmm.
and like writing and then crafts obviously and maybe no acting.
Not even Walton. I think he'll get in though.
I mean like the good thing for him is that like it's just weak, right?
Yes.
And but I could see like it's not I mean there's just like some kinds of performances and shows that the actors just don't go for.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see like just like The Boys like Fallout being lifted by other branches and not necessarily by the actors into series. And it's like similar kind of vibe too.
I could see that. The reason I think he'll get in is because the actors, everyone loves him. So right, so like I think he'll get in independent of the show almost. I
I
think
mean,
what
I
you're
don't think
saying
that
is
matters. I
right.
mean, listen, I have him in,
Yeah,
but like I don't think that matters.
I think
So,
he would get in. Like I don't think it'll add like other actors.
oh, I don't have anyone else getting in.
Right.
Like, I mean, I thought like Ella was fine, Ella Purnell. Um, I think she could get in because I think she's like similar to like Annette Bening with Naiad. Like she has a demo to herself. Like she's young,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and like most of the other women in the category are older. I mean, that category is wild because it's like no one feels safe.
So just to jump to there, here's what I was wondering about that category, and with relation to Fallout, where does this lead? Like, I have the top 6 in the odds. I think I don't know if you do, because I don't remember if you have Emma, but the top 6
I have
are
Emma.
okay. Jennifer Aniston, Imelda Staunton, Emma Stone, Carrie Coon, Reese Witherspoon, and Maya Erskine for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who I'm bullish on that show, but I was wondering, does Fallout hurt that show and possibly here? Like, would Ella replace Maya? And is it a zero-sum game where just one of them gets in?
I don't think it's a zero-sum game.
Okay.
Like, but like, why would she replace her?
Well, because you were saying, like, you're saying she's like a younger, like, it's like the younger demo.
But I don't think people think of them as the same.
Okay. Okay.
You know?
Sure.
And I think they're already familiar with Maya with Pen 15.
Certainly, but they could be familiar with Ella for Yellow Jackets.
They could be, but I think I'm saying like that's different because like she's playing like the perception of Ella. I mean, she is younger than Maya in real life, but like she plays a teen on Yellow Jackets.
Right.
And it's like you don't think of them in like the same generation because they're not.
Okay. I mean, I think they're not, but I think people might. I also wonder if it's the Amazon.
Like they're just like not like the same for me. And I think Mr. and Mrs. Smith is more actor friendly than Fallout.
Certainly. And it's got that same kind of like comedy drama tone, I guess you could argue. But I'd
Yeah.
actually say maybe Mr. and Mrs. Smith is more Fallout, may be more of a comedy than Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah,
Smith.
that's why it reminds me of The Boys. It's like that same type of humor. And then after watching it, like I understood why The Boys is not making eligibility this year.
Yes. That's yes. Absolutely.
Because they're very similar. It's like going after the same demo, and I think it's like they already know like The Boys is a reliable hit for them. So I think it's like, and like it's a past nominee, so it's gone in before. So I think they want to front this new project, right? This huge investment of this video game.
Usually popular video game, huge investment, like basically like their version of
great
Last of
pedigree
Us.
behind it. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go up in the odds here, because like even if you're not super, like we said, the drama's weak. Even if there's just with all the other branches, I think it would easily, not easily, but I think it'll make it in. Like, I'd be surprised if it didn't make it in for series.
I mean, what's ahead of it right now in the odds?
Like I said, The Crown Morning Show, Gilded Age, Slow Horses, The Curse in 5th, Three Body Problem in 6th, Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 7th, Loki in 8th, Sugar in 9th, and then Fallout in 10th.
Sugar.
Remember Sugar?
Wasn't that 10th last week? I thought you said it was 10th last week. So it rose after people watched the first 2 episodes.
I have Three Body Problem in and Loki and Fallout. I just have all genre shit at the end of my picks here. Like, that's it. That's like whatever.
I do not have those, but I think Three Body, like it's like doing okay, but I think it might be too genre-y to be broad appealing, whereas I think Fallout can be broad appealing, and I think it's good that they came up with their own storyline set in the world, so it's appealing to the video game nerds and new people like me who have never played the video game.
From people I've talked to who've watched it, who are not super into the Emmys, but watching the show, that was a big takeaway. That Last of Us was like not hurt, but like the fact Last of Us was a very faithful, like straight adaptation of the video game, like lockstep, like recreating things in the video game. And this was using this popular.
And like everyone is anticipating what's going to happen to Pedro in season 2.
We already know what's going to happen to Pedro.
We know, but like some people, if they choose not to be spoiled.
Yeah, but you could easily find out what happens.
You can easily find out. It's not very.
And all the other characters. Whenever they announce a new character or a new actor joining the cast, I'm immediately Googling to see the Last of Us.
What happens
wiki.
to their character?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, what is this person gonna do? Like when they cast what's his face, Who they cast from Beef, Joyce, the young actor. Oh, young Mazzino.
Your fave.
Love him. And I was like, who's he playing? Oh, good job out of him. That's a good part. So yeah, you definitely know. But with Fallout, it was like it's just set in the world and they're able to do kind of like whatever you want, which I think does open it up to more regular viewers, right? I think that'll help.
Yeah, like we're all starting on a level playing field here. And
Right.
I think like, I mean, I'm sure there are like a ton of like Easter eggs for,
Yes, obviously.
yeah, but like I don't know what they are, and like I don't care. Like it means
You're not
nothing to
out there
me.
playing the Fallout game, Joyce.
I am not. No.
Here's the great
The
thing.
video games I play are like Mario Kart.
I
So
wouldn't even know what platform it's on, the game.
I'm like, no, this is like not my thing. But like the show is fun. It's like I'm also like not huge. Like again, reminds me of The Boys. I'm not huge on The Boys either, but like I
Sure.
think it's a fun show. Like
Sure.
I think they're both like B shows, like
Mhm.
it's decent. But I think like in this field, like it could fall out, could do well, and um I like, what do you think of the day and date drop? Because all the episodes are out.
So I don't know. Here's it. Like I knee jerk wise, I literally was just thinking about this before with Fallout and just in everything else. I was like, knee jerk wise, you're automatically like, this is silly when they do this because it's not in the conversation, right? I was thinking of Mr. and Mrs. Smith actually, because I was like, that was a great show. Uh, completely not, I don't know anybody, even people who loved it. I'm like, I don't know anybody still talking about it, right? Like, and it had that great cliffhanger ending or not cliffhanger ending where you're like, it was just perfect. Everything about it was great. And I was like, man, if this rolled out every week, I think it would have had a greater impact. That said, I feel like because I was thinking like the people driving this conversation initially are always going to be like the media, right? Like, or people who have, and we all watch this shit immediately and like all at once. And so we're done talking about it before anybody's even seen it. And then I'm just like, maybe that's also bad then. You know what I mean? Like, I think even if it was a day and date, by the time, I mean, even if it was like weekly, like with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I would imagine like when would that have, let me see, when was that, when did that premiere? Do you remember off the top of
That
your head?
premiered February 2nd.
So February
It'll be over
2nd.
by now.
So it'd be over by now, but like, let's see, one, two, three, four, five.
I mean, it probably would have done like 2 or 3 episodes the first week.
Right. So it ended like March 22nd or March 29th, let's say, like in there. And I was like, would people have actually still been talking about the finale around that time when they'd already talked about the whole thing like 2 months before? So I actually don't know anymore what the right answer is. I think for Fallout, it's probably okay to be all at once because it is super watchable. And I think at this stage, like if it was weekly, I don't know. I think it would maybe would get lost. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I actually don't know what the answer is. I don't think anybody knows what the answer is for this anymore. Not even the programmers, Joyce.
I'm always in favor of weekly than a day and date. Because I think no matter the quality of the show or the number of viewers, I think that's just good for sustaining momentum.
Right.
And just building an audience too. Like you could start out in the shitter, like no one watching you, but you could just have good word of mouth, and get discovered. Um, and but like in terms of like awards purposes, like this is kind of late, like it's still the first half of April, but if it's going weekly, you're going through the end of May, and we've seen how late premieres or shows that run into May have struggled the last couple years to
Yes.
get in. So just from a pure like excluding awards, if you don't care about those, I think just for the overall health of a show, I think it's good to be weekly.
Yes. I mean, I guess one example of that would be Shogun has benefited greatly from weekly because people
And that
are,
premiered at the end of February.
and it's been building momentum. And clearly, like we just had the end. I think this was the eighth episode this
The
week.
eighth episode, with another great death.
Yes.
Yes. And a great performance from Hero again.
So
Such a
good.
jokester. I love him so much. Cough, cough.
Just the best. Um, so yeah, so then you're like, okay, like that's built momentum. The regime, I think, hit and miss, but I do think it actually helped because I saw a lot of people like talking about the finale and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then Fallout, I guess we'll see. Everybody's going to watch it over the next few days, probably, and then be talking about it. And hopefully that ends up paying off. I just don't know. Amazon always does these all day and date. I think the classic example of this where that missed was like Underground Railroad, which should have been like a weekly, but
And that premiered in May
yeah,
too. That was, I mean, that's a very different show.
it's a different show. But I mean, it just in terms of this conversation, if it was
Yeah.
weekly, I
And
think it
well,
would
you
have
also like that's the
done
type of
better.
show where you do want the week in between because you need time to digest everything you've
Correct.
seen. It's not like a Fallout when you're like, oh man, I can't wait to watch the
Right.
next episode.
And Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think, was fine as a all at once, but I do think it
Mr.
would
and
have
Mrs. Smith
benefited.
would have worked great as a weekly
Yes.
because it is actually a great real TV show. It's episodic storytelling with a great season-long arc that builds
Hmm?
every episode too.
Yes.
So it's like self-contained, but with a longer story too. Um, yeah, like I think Fallout will be bigger than Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Um,
And
I
in
don't, I mean, like the thing with Amazon too is like they have a lot of IP titles.
yeah, they've done a good job, I think, of figuring out IP and like getting their stuff seen, which are two good things. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to say, it's easy to get somebody to say like, I'm gonna watch. I know Mr. I'm gonna watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith because I'm familiar with that IP, right? That's IP I'm familiar with. Maybe less so to go. I'm gonna watch just picking out of a hat sugar, you know, because like I never heard of this. And what is this? It does no recognizable brand.
Well, Apple's also a lower profile streamer.
Yeah, I didn't mean I was not I just picked sugar randomly because I'm looking at the list, but I was like, a lot of these are like having that be the IP. I kept three body problem in eighth, uh, just because it's like a top Netflix drama priority. That was basically it, and it's obviously going to be watched. I don't know, and I think enough of the other the crafts I think will help carry it if it gets in. But I mean, in any other year, I would not have it in because I think you're right. It is too hard sci-fi, and it's like solid but not overwhelmingly strong response.
I mean, that's kind of why I don't have it in. It's like I don't think it'll have the broad appeal of Fallout.
So you have Ahsoka still in, right?
Yes.
And you don't have Loki still?
No, you're basically trying to bully me into having Loki and
I just
Hiddles.
feel like you're anti-dicting Loki because you like
I'm
it.
not at all. Like I love Loki. I'm just like
This could either be your this would either be your anti-dicting it and it gets in, or this is your
no,
Blackbird.
if I'm very transparent. If I'm hope dicting or anti-dicting something, I will tell you. Like
Okay. I know you like it, so I was like, maybe you're not predicting it because you actually like it.
no, I'm not like you where if I like something, I need to put it in. Like
Okay.
I'm I'm a realist and if like I don't expect my faves to get in because
So so what do you have in then for your other two spots? I forget.
my I have the curse.
Oh, you have the curse and then what? It's because I have Loki and three body problem. We have the other six. So what's your other one then? Oh, sugar.
I have the Crown, Morning Show, Gilded Age, Slow Horses, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Curse, Ahsoka, and Fallout.
Oh, Ahsoka. Duh. We just talked about this, right?
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Right. So you have the
I
curse.
mean,
Okay.
I've had this for months. I'm like, not, I don't have any reason right now to change anything,
Okay.
really. So, um,
I'm
I don't
waiting
know,
to
like,
see.
unless like Fallout flops, like,
Well, it already. I
I'm
mean,
gonna
like
keep it in here. It's like,
it's not going to flop because I feel like they'll just make it not flop. They'll come up with some metric that it's like the most watched
no, it's
show that
gonna
begins
have
with the
like,
letter
yeah,
F.
some like fake number as like the most viewed Prime show
The
and like
most
the
viewed
first
Prime show
like
that's
7 hours that
that
we
began
dropped
with
on a Wednesday night.
dropped on
Because
a
we
Wednesday
made
night
the
and begins
training.
with the letter F. It's a fantastic metric.
Yeah, like I mean,
Um,
I can see myself moving Ahsoka out, but I mean, I don't know. Like,
I think the first hurdle for Fallout was the reviews though, and they're all strong. People like it a lot.
yeah, I mean, like I expected the reviews to be what they are because like it's not a bad show. Like it's a good show,
Right.
and like there's gonna be I think some people who are predisposed to liking it anyway, and it's good.
Mhm.
So I think it like that helps too. It's like again, I think it's like a B. It's like it's solid, and it's fun, and I don't think it would win. And I've seen I think some people just want this to succeed because the field is so weak, so they could have something to predict as
So
a winner because The Crown and Morning Show, the top two, are weak.
so we're not even talking winners right now. I have the morning
No,
show
I
in
don't want to
first,
talk about winners
but
anywhere. Like, if
I
you
just
want to
want
talk
to
about like
say
Elizabeth Debicki, we can talk about that.
I just
But
want to say like people really the Crown is really like a default front runner, and like people are just like expecting it to win because it's the Crown for a season that was fine, basically.
yeah,
Is that generous to call it fine? Would you say?
I mean, I think it's slightly better than the fifth season. I
Yeah.
don't. They're kind of different too. Like I think five was just really dull, and I don't think six is dull, but
No.
it's just kind of messy. Like
Yes.
after part one, which is just all Diana, you know.
I think it could win just on the strength of part one because the Diana stuff is really compelling, and Elizabeth Debicki is pretty clearly the front runner to win in her category. And the back half is fine, and I think if you are it's enough of a people have historically obviously very much enjoyed the show, including me. I will not speak for you, but I like really liked season
I'm
4,
not a royal person, so I've never cared about this. It's
and
just like a show.
regardless of how successful the end is, it definitely at least is like, hey, remember why you like this show, right? You know what I mean? It's like a great like final like curtain call for the series. So part of me
Yeah,
is
and
like
you
it
know
could just
they brought
win.
back all the queens.
Yes, and they'll both get nominated probably in their like as a drama guest actress or
I mean,
whatever.
like the 5% rule.
I think they're in it though. I actually think Olivia's in it for 5% of that episode.
I mean, I think Claire,
Oh,
um,
Olivia has another scene, right? Doesn't she have 2 scenes?
she does. I mean, I'm not timing this, so I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't even know how long that episode is.
Matthew Stewart will do this for us at some point and figure it out. I will say that said, I would love the morning show to win because it's just a complete hilarious mess, and I loved every second of it. It was so entertaining.
What if it doesn't get in again?
If it doesn't get in again, that would be hilarious. I would have a hard time believing it doesn't get in. But one of the things I was going to say is I feel like we're all just waiting to see which limited series jumps to this category and tries to win because it's so wide
That's
open.
what I think so many people have been wanting for months. You know, like I think a couple weeks ago we got a question about that too. And
Yes.
like people wanted that for True Detective because it had references to season one, you
So
know.
I don't think if I was I was thinking about this. If I'm ranking these shows, the possibility of jumping to season to here, I would say actually number one is Ripley. I think they could do it because they could just say we're gonna adapt another book or whatever, and it's fine. I think they can
They
actually.
have all the rights to the books.
So I really think, depending on how well it performs over the next few weeks, that could move. I think you'd less of a chance for something like Sympathizer and Regime, but I could honestly see either one of those like pretending they're a drama series as well.
No, I mean, Will Tracy has said like he has no plans for season two, like no ideas even, and I don't think the show did well enough for HBO to even want a season two.
I think you're right.
So, I mean, Sympathizer at least has a book, a second
Yes.
book,
Yes.
but I don't like that would be a very different show. It's a different title too. So it's like the book title.
Yeah.
And I don't think like that is like I feel like I mean, yes, it would be in drama, but it would be more akin to like a limited series, like anthology, even though it's like, you know, the same
I
character.
yes.
Yeah.
The
I
reason I
mean, the
think
one that makes most sense is True Detective, obviously, with the links between the seasons, but like that, like they've already said like it's limited
it
HBO.
actually they're links, but it doesn't make any. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me because it's never
No,
been
no,
a
that's more
season.
I think that's more like Emmy fans like
Yes.
wanting the show to move so drama will be more robust.
The reason I also think Ripley could go, we know nothing at all. I absolutely know nothing. It's idly speculating here in a comic mode, in a humorous vein, Joyce.
Did you rewatch Connor's Wedding? Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary.
Is also Netflix, their drama priorities are Three Body Problem, Avatar: The Last Airbender. So not a robust
and The Crown.
outside of The Crown, not a robust list to me. And drama actor certainly is also open enough where I'm like, even if I don't think Ripley would win series if it went to drama, I think you could really make a strong case that Andrew would win drama actor, whereas I think limited series he might have actually a tougher time to win.
I think he could have like the same chances in both. But I mean, like, they do have all the rights to the books, so it's
And
just kind of like if they want to do it. But remember, this was made for Showtime.
right. Well, that's the other reason why I think they actually could do a show, because Showtime set it up as a limited series. Right when it was announced by Showtime, it was a limited series. Netflix might just be like, hell yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
Netflix
it.
just acquired this when Showtime offloaded it.
Right. And
So
Showtime might,
it's
and
like,
Netflix might be like, let's do it. I mean, like it's an easy, it fits easily in, like, people love a scammer story, and like again, the way it ends is just a full, like, we could just do this again, just run it back.
well, there are more books.
I know, but
So,
the show ends in a way that the book that it's adapting does not, I don't think.
well, yeah, but like the thing is, like, we talked about this last week with Andrew Scott's age.
We have emails
He's
about this later,
he's
Joyce, by the
too
way.
old for the character. Um, so which is why it was like funny to me, like, that he was cast in the part and they were adapting and so faithful to the first book when the characters are in their 20s and Andrew Scott is 47,
Mhm.
when it would have made more sense to adapt the other books when the character's older. So it would make more sense to adapt the other books with him.
Yeah, we get that at the end in the finale. This is a Ripley spoiler, I guess, but they bring in John Malkovich, Joyce, who played Ripley.
I mean, not a spoiler.
Well, it might be if you haven't watched it.
No, but there were photos of him also on set too, from like years ago when they filmed it.
I don't think people pay attention to the set photos like you do, Joyce. I just gotta say.
No, but like they're very online, and I'm not like searching for John Malkovich Ripley set photos, but they just land on my feed. So
Um,
it's
so
the
anyway,
algorithm.
I think I would not be surprised. Let's just say I would not be surprised if one of these shows shakes into drama based on drama, but I don't know which one.
I mean, because I love chaos, I hope none of them move. Like, let things be what they are.
It would frankly be much better, because, like we said, it would be easy. Like, if you move any of these shows out of limited series, it would make limited series categories a lot easier to predict.
But I mean, I guess that's like if you just want it to be easier. I mean, I think people want like contenders in drama, basically.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But you're also just trying to force something that maybe isn't there, and like, and I mean, in theory, anything can be an ongoing series and anything can be a limited series too, right? Especially if they're vague about their intentions, and they're not clear in the marketing.
Yeah.
And then like we're in an era where it takes like 3, 4, 5 years maybe to even get the next season of a show.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't really ding someone yet if there isn't a next season the following year like there is normally, like The Bear does, like a real TV show.
Yeah, The Bear
So
is a
it,
real
it
TV
only
show.
yeah,
Hacks is a real TV show.
yeah, and it becomes like an issue when like several years have passed, and like if you're going into like drama or comedy and like the next season isn't here yet.
I mean, a perfect example is the show we talked about earlier, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Very easily could be a limited series, or a comedy, or a drama.
Yeah.
They've landed in drama because I think it's the best place for it to get multiple nominations, and could have
And
more
it ends on a cliffhanger,
competitive.
and they've talked about season 2, like
Yeah,
ideas for season
they,
2.
it's a cliffhanger, but when I watched it, I was like,
It
that's
can
the
end like
perfect
that. Yeah.
ending. Yeah, it was the perfect ending for the show, to the point where I was like, I actually don't want it to come back, or if it comes back, it should be different people, because like I think you got the whole arc of their characters and the relationship in that finale. By the time you get to the finale, it's like there's nowhere else really for them to go. I guess they could say like,
Mhm.
we have kids now, or we survive. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Spoilers for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Um, but like that was a complete arc to me. So it could have just ended there and been a limited series. But yeah, they've talked about potential season 2, and why not? And it could be a comedy or a drama, and it's a drama, so that's good for them.
Yeah, and I think it's like the same thing with The Curse, right? I
Yeah.
think people just assumed from the beginning that would be limited because of Emma Stone. It's like no way
Hmm.
would she sign up for an ongoing series,
Right.
And then initially, or not initially, is it like a comedy or drama? And then they went drama,
And season,
and
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like they've talked about a season 2, hasn't been renewed or anything
Like,
officially.
if I guess, I would say ain't no way there's gonna be a second season of that show. But
And then like you could have like if some people feel so strongly about this, then they'll call that fraud because they'll be like, then it should be unlimited, right?
yeah, I'm fine. I'm not. I don't feel that strongly about it. That's why I'm like, move all the. I'm like, I like the
I
chaos,
don't
so I'm
care
like,
where, because the way I look at it is like if you're just if you're like running these campaigns or just chasing awards basically,
mm-hmm,
like it's about the strategy,
mm-hmm,
right? Like you want to maximize your chances of whether your goal is being nominated or winning,
yes,
right? And it's just like in sports where you want to have an edge over your opponent. So you're going to do whatever, you're going to find like legal loopholes
mm-hmm,
to get an edge for yourself.
mm-hmm.
So
They,
that's what
they're
they're doing, and it's
they're
fine.
moneyballing. They're moneyballing the Emmy campaigns.
Yeah, there's no rule saying they can do this. It's the same thing with like the lead and supporting stuff. I don't care.
Right.
It's like they're allowed to do this. There's no rule saying they can't. They can campaign wherever they want. So
Another we talk about another. We're talking about limited series here briefly. The Sympathizer, Joyce, out this week or Sunday,
on
I guess.
Sunday,
So next week. But the reviews are out now. You know what show great? The Sympathizer.
a lot of fun.
Holy cow. Just a blast. Love the show.
Yeah, the 4th episode is the best one.
So Park Chan-wook directed the first 3, which are good. And the pilot I think is awesome. And then the 4th episode is our best friend, sugar director, Fernando Mariellis, and just absolutely fucking awesome. It's so
That's
good.
when they film the fake movie, The Hamlet. That's just a whole episode.
Downey plays Francis Ford Coppola, but like not, I guess, or a mix of like, or also Kurt Lazarus as director. What do you think?
Just every white guy you can think of, basically. I mean, that's the part he plays in
It
the
is.
movie, the
It's his
show
best.
anyway.
His best work is in that episode. I'd say. I just found that, and everything about that episode is perfect.
It also features him in the beginning talking to Hua in his office and being like, "Don't be intimidated by my Oscars."
It's fantastic.
Mhm.
Uh, this is honestly like no disrespect to Shogun, which we both love. This was my favorite. This is my favorite limited series slash probably show of
Wow. Wow.
this whole cycle. I
Are you
loved
sure you
every.
want to lock that in? You're so fickle.
I'm locking it in as my favorite, but I haven't seen everything. I don't know if it's gonna get any. So here's the thing. You know me, love to put my favorites in. I,
And you didn't.
I can't get it in. I think it's so good, but I was like, are people gonna actually like this? That was my big takeaway. I don't know, but it is so good. I thought it was just great.
Um, yeah, I think it's okay, I'll put it this way. I don't think it's as inaccessible as Three Body Problem.
No
It's
way.
like it's it's like a little weird, but like not really. It's just like I think it's easy to follow. I mean, if you've never read the book, I think it's pretty clear what's happening
I
after the
obviously
first
like
episode. Like there's a lot going on, but I think you you can figure
I
out
never
what's
read the book,
happening.
Joyce, which you
Well, you
know.
don't read.
Somebody in our comments said Chris is the Leah Michelle of this podcast. I don't know how
Did
to
you
read.
did you like that Wordle a couple weeks ago
I
on
don't do
April Fool's Day
Wordle.
when it was just emojis?
I
Or
don't
not
do
Wordle,
Wordle. I don't even do it.
Dimensions.
I don't do that either.
It was emojis, and everyone built a sandwich when it was synonyms for money. So great.
Yeah, it was not hard to follow. I found it really accessible and like thrilling to watch. It's definitely we've seen a lot of we'll talk about this later, so we got an email about this too. A lot of the film Twitter's best and brightest are just all up in Ripley's grill because it's so cinematic. Because Robert Ellsworth
Black and white.
is the director of photography, and I got to say, when they get to the Sympathizer, I feel like they'll be like, oh, actually, this is like it feels like, for lack of a better word, it feels like a movie. I feel like at times. In a good way, but it's also very much a TV series, and it's very episodic in that fashion too. But the crafts are just premium. I just thought it was so good, and it's so creative, and like really the way it jumps around the narrative is great. But I just don't think it'll get in because I don't think it's going to be like, I was trying to figure out like where would the support come from for it? Where would have its most support?
I think it could have well-rounded support. Like I think it could get acting support. It's very showy performances from Hua and RDJ.
So RDJ got winning. Just put him right at the top.
He plays like 20 different characters. So
plays multiple characters. They're all absolutely hilarious. He's completely he's just so good. He plays a college professor that I'm sure will get the takes rolling. Did you get the sense that one will be a little
I mean, I think there's gonna be a lot of takes on not just his characters.
And Wah is so good. So it's Wah I wrote it down. Wah Shande.
Wah Shande.
I got it right. Did I say it right? I'm not gonna.
Sure.
One of my friends watching him was like, he's like Glenn Powell. I was actually thinking
It's a very charismatic performance.
I was thinking more of like 90s Ed Norton. That's how I would compare him to. He's so good. It's like Fight Club Ed Norton. He's got that absolute charm. He's a total, like, not really a cipher, but he doesn't even have he's named the captain. Like, he doesn't have a name. He's so charming. He dominates the show, holds his own against Downey multiple different ways. Like, it's so good. It's very, very funny. And then it's also very dark and like kind of serious. And the last episode is
the last episode is a lot.
Really good and like complete. Yeah. The last episode reminded me a little bit of like, only just like because we talked about this a lot last year. Remember how Beef had like, obviously the 9th episode was like a really big like conflict, and then the 10th episode, or the final episode of Beef was like much stranger by comparison and like a lot slower and like more contemplative. And that's like kind of like this too, I felt like, because it kind of reaches a peak and then you get to the last episode and it goes into directions that maybe you weren't expecting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it all comes to a head in the finale. And if you read the book, then you kind of know what to expect, I guess. But yeah, no, it's a true star-making performance.
So I put him in, I think.
I already had him in before I
got him in. He is so good. I have him in double Shogun because I got my boy Cosmo in. Did you put Cosmo in?
I do have him in because I dropped Michael Douglas of Franklin, which is also out this week.
Your favorite Franklin. Do you want to do like a quick tight 5 on Franklin?
is not your grandpa's historical drama. It has the cheekiest opening credits. You'll see.
Okay.
Highly recommend watching the opening credits if you're not going to watch the show.
Okay.
And it's really it's actually like it's not fun, but it's not. I think people will just like look at the trailer or look at photos or read the logline and think it's like gonna be boring and stodgy, and it's not. It's actually it has a lot of humor and it's kind of charming because it's all about how Benjamin Franklin basically seduced the French to get them to back America's independence. So, and I mean, like in the first 10 minutes, he's farting.
How many Apple shows have old men farting? It's at least two.
That's like their thing. So
Old men farting is the
yeah.
Apple TV Plus's log line for 2024.
Listen, Apple has really great historical dramas this season. They're just like, are they my favorites? Like probably not, but they're just like fun to watch. And yeah. So I don't know how many people will watch that this weekend though, in between Fallout and Sympathizer.
I can't imagine a lot. Um, yeah, I have so I have Cosmo in then too. So that's good. I'm glad you put him in.
I'm I don't know like what to do with Shogun and acting because like what I was saying before, the the style of acting of that show is not really what the acting branch goes for typically.
Tell me if you
And
think this matters. I don't disagree with that, obviously, because I think we've seen the style of acting they kind of go for historically. It's not what's going on in Shogun. When I watch Shogun, and this is maybe part of the reason why I was like, the pilot is not great, but like by the time the finale happened, I was like, I fucking love this show. uh, is I can rarely remember a show where I was so like became so super invested in the characters, right? Like I love these characters so much. And I wonder if you're watching and you actually like this show, which seemingly has, like we said, has been a pretty, I think, success, right? You would say so far. People really like it. Are you just going to actually put these people in because you love the characters? Like we both ended up doing this, I think, for supporting actress. I put in Moika Hoshi, right, who plays the
Fuji.
the I forget, I don't want to spoil what happens to her, but like she's so good. I love her character.
She has a great scenes in the finale.
And I was just like, I just love that character. When I was watching it, I was like Googling who is this actress, right? Like I just was like, this woman is great. I love this so much. And so I wonder, like, while the acting necessarily isn't like what they typically go for, if you're so invested in the show and the characters, would you actually just kind of load up on Shogun actors?
So that's what I'm trying to balance because I don't want to go overboard, but like I don't think it'll be like a White Lotus or Succession where they just spam the acting categories, and I kind of feel like that's what the impulse for a lot of people is to do, like just predict it down the line. And I don't know if they'll they'll go there with it. Like I can see the main three getting in, like Hiro, Cosmo, and Anna Sawai. And then yeah, like Moeka, I can see like Fuji is a fan favorite, and then Tadanobu Asano, another fan favorite.
So
So
he
I
has to
have
get
them
in.
in because like they
Yeah.
are fan favorites.
And so I put him in because he's also fantastic. And the character, again, is
He's
just
the
like
best, and then he has his best moments in the last two episodes.
absolutely awesome.
The greatest.
So I mean, I would say of all of them, I would say like Moesha is probably like Moika is probably like like she would be, they would have to go really nuts for it for her to get in, I think. But the other four I actually think would be pretty set. And probably Tatanobu over Cosmo, just because to have double leads, it just feels like it's obviously possible, but I'm like, I could just see Cosmo maybe missing because, like you said, his performance has been more polarizing for some people, even though I think he's
But it's so
absolutely,
funny and it's perfect for the show and that
it's so
character.
perfect. I was talking to my friend about it. We were like, it's like he's basically like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China, which is like a great role and like kind of ahead of its time in that it's like he's playing like the dumb American and is like a total idiot the whole time, and the movie is like basically mocking that stereotype of like an American savior, white savior, in like in the same thing with this. I just think he's so great and so funny, and he's totally in on the joke.
Yeah. Well, remember when we were offline doing our Succession parallels, and I
Yes.
was like, Cosmo is Greg,
Yes.
and Greg is also polarizing. He's
Yes.
Greg because he also wants to fucking leave. He wants a Grexit.
Yeah.
He's dying for a Grexit.
So he's Greg, and Greg obviously got in many times for the Emmy. So I think Kazuo could get in. So who is Moika then? Who's Fuji?
She is like she's Jerry.
She's like Jerry, but not severe like Jerry, though.
No, but like she's like but more in the like the fan favorite vibes
Yeah,
because we know Anna is Shiv.
right. Obviously.
Yeah, and Tadanobu is Carl.
He is. Then who's
Frank
Tom?
died this week.
Who's Tom?
Tom is Mariko's husband. Remember?
Oh yeah, duh, of
How
course.
can you forget this?
That's good. That's really good. Good
Wait,
job,
wait,
past
I
selves.
think the ninth episode has the tea scene, right?
I don't know if it's the ninth episode or this
I
actually
think
might have been this one because I was
was
reading
it this one?
interviews. Yeah, I think it's in this one because I was reading interviews with her as like a post-mortem for 8 because of what happens in 9. I think
Yeah.
it's in this one because 9
So
is
this
all
one
9 is
nine
not.
is when she actually battles.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
this one is with the tea scene,
The
which
tea
is great.
scene, which is like that's when he's peak Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
But
just
anyway, sympathizer.
Sympathizer is great. So the only thing so with that show, different from Shogun, I guess, in the terms of like the acting, I think it's so much like Wah and Downey show that I don't think it'll get other people, including Sandra Oh, who is really not in it.
So you finished sympathizer before I did. And
Yes.
then you're like, I want to drop her.
Yes.
And then I watched it and I was like, I want to drop her too.
So I dropped her because I put in Moika for Shogun, and then I did Riley Keough and Lily Gladstone for Under the Bridge. Double Under the Bridge.
Of course you did. I mean, I've seen Under the Bridge now.
Yes.
Remember we were asked last week about it. And it was funny because when I was watching it, I was texting my friend and I was like, I think like they like basically everyone in the cast should go supporting because it's such an ensemble show.
Hmm.
And then they went supporting Riley and Lily. And then I was like, I don't know if I want to put them in yet. I guess I could, or one of them at least.
You had a good
It's
point
not premiering
offline.
until next week. Hmm?
You had a good point offline because you were saying like they sneaky love Hulu limited series, Joyce.
They love Hulu in limited. So this was my issue when I was like considering um putting them in. Well, like last year, they went hard on Welcome to Chippendales. Like that's the type of acting they like,
Yes.
you know. And that was Hulu. My issue here is like there are a lot of shows that are available on Hulu, including the FX exclusives
Mhm.
like Shogun. That's not a Hulu show,
No.
but you watch it on Hulu,
Yes.
right? And so then like Fargo and Feud also available on Hulu. So I'm like, there are like all these additional shows. So I'm like, who should I prioritize here? Because I was also like, what if I just get rid of all the Swans?
So I did that only because I was also like out of sight, out of mind a little bit, which maybe sometimes helps because, like we said, if it's in the clubhouse early, that would maybe help, right? Like, okay, we already know I like this, but I also was like, I think there's too many Swans, and I think you're gonna have people. I think people are gonna be into like different Swans, right? And like that'll force a non-consensus. Without a consensus, then they all miss because it's just too many other people, right? Because some people might be like, oh, I loved Diane Lane or I loved Molly Ringwald or whoever, right? Like it's just like they're Calista Flockhart. Like there's so many people that maybe they all just miss. So I just went all Swans out.
Yeah, so far I've dropped one Swan in supporting, so I still have Diane Lane. So
She's fourth in the odds.
yeah, so I'm like, should I keep her or drop her? And then like same thing with Sandra too. I'm like, should I keep her or drop her?
I mean, I think you could have a better case for Diane. Sandra is awesome in the Sympathizer. Don't get me wrong. I love her in the show. She's great.
A lot of
She's
fun.
only really in one major episode. She has one major episode, and then she comes back later, but doesn't really have anything to do except move the plot along a little bit.
Yeah, she's not in the premiere or the finale.
And
And
uh,
yeah, like she's introduced in this, and so she has stuff second and third episode. And then she's literally in the fourth episode for a minute because she has nothing to do with the movie.
and then she comes back later, and
Yeah,
it's
because
literally
there's
just
like a
like
whole plot
Basil
line.
exposition kind of at the end. I it doesn't necessarily matter because it's only in quotes a limited series, so it's like she doesn't actually need to be in it more than this. But I
And it's
just was
supporting.
like, I don't know.
It's I think it only matters. Well, we know she's never won before.
Right.
13 nominations, 0 wins. So I think a lot of her stands want her to win for this.
Oh, certainly,
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah.
We have an email about this later, by the way. Let's step on.
So, okay, so maybe I should save some stuff for later then.
Save some
But
stuff for later.
I I feel like this this might not be the one for her to win for.
I agree.
I think she can get in, but I don't know. I mean, even though this category is so open, I don't know who's winning this, but I wouldn't say that like, it's like a slam dunk win for her.
What is this? What is the limited series? We can't predict it yet, but like, what's going to be a knockdown drag out? How about the directing category for this? Like, holy cow!
But I mean, that also depends on submissions too, because some of these shows have multiple directors. So it's like, are they going to be again strategic and just, yeah, unlike for the studio network and just submit one, but then the individual can submit on by themselves
So,
too. Yeah.
like, lessons in chemistry will have multiples probably, and they already won at the WGA, right? So, True Detective would just probably is just one, right?
It's Issa.
And Ripley would be Steve Zalian, but like Sympathizer could have 2 or 3, even if you want to do like the third director who did the last 3 episodes. Because the best episode of Sympathizer, I think, is the Friend of Mary Ellis one, but obviously, like, the pilot would probably be a great submission for Park Chan-wook. I don't know. It just is like seems incredibly competitive. And then you have Shogun also, which will have potentially multiple.
Yeah, it depends
submissions.
on like how much they're gonna like some shows might over submit.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I love that. When do
So
we know those submissions? There's May,
ballots come out or voting starts June 13th.
June 13th. Can't wait. That's gonna be so
Yeah.
much fun.
But yeah, I can see the only acting nominations for Sympathizer being Hua and RDJ.
I do think RDJ can win.
I think he'll probably win, and I like he's very good, and it's just so flashy. And then just like you were saying last week when they sent the screeners, it came with a letter and from Park Chan-wook, and it was just like a whole graph about RDJ playing multiple characters.
Full RDJ. You get the full experience.
Did you read his Esquire?
I did. I not my favorite type of article, but I did read the whole thing.
There was a lot happening
A
there.
lot of diversions and a lot of I'm the writer. I'm going to be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you, so
Which is not what Under the Bridge the book is like, but it is what Under the Bridge the show is like.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Joyce, we got emails, but why don't we do quick get in our time machine and go back to caring about the WGA Awards?
They're on Sunday.
They're coming up. Can't wait
When
to see
was the last time you touched these?
February 21st, it says.
Wow. What were you doing that day?
I don't know. How about you? When was the last time you looked at these?
The last time I touched these was March 7th.
Wow.
Yeah.
A gold star for you. I must have gotten a demerit in our report cards.
So, I mean, but both pre-Oscars.
Both pre-Oscars, a lot of Oscar nominees, and the winners not eligible.
Mm-hmm. As per usual.
So for when was voting for this? Let's do that.
Well, voting, remember, we got a question about if the plagiarism
Yes.
claims would affect the holdovers for WGA, because obviously it wasn't going to affect the Oscars.
Right.
Because it was the next day. Voting for this closed on March 8th, and the Variety article about the plagiarism claims dropped March 9th, and the Oscars were March 10th.
Yes. So remember all that when you're doing your picks. Just a side note, I can't believe we still have to talk about the holdovers and all these fucking movies. I thought we were done with them, but they come back. It's like Jason or Michael.
But you know what? I'm all for the WGA doing this and doing it post Oscars. I don't like it when people are like, "Oh, I can't use this for my Oscar predictions." I'm like, they could do whatever they want.
Also, you shouldn't use it for your Oscar
predict Oscars. Yeah. I mean, you can't really anyway, but because there's so many ineligible scripts. But it's like their purpose is not to help you with your Oscar predictions.
All right, so let's do these WGA Awards 2024, Joyce, for film original screenplay. Just to recap, the nominees are The Holdovers, Barbie, Past Lives, May December, and Air, and I have The Holdovers.
Same.
Great.
I don't know.
What
I have
to
Past
say?
Lives in second.
I have Barbie in second.
You know what? I'm not gonna make any changes to these.
No, I'm not
Just
making any changes
go
either.
go with March 7th, what I did.
I'm just hitting save.
Yeah.
For adapted screenplay, the nominees are American Fiction, Oppenheimer, Flower Moon, Nyad, and Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I have American Fiction winning.
Same.
They're giving Cord Jefferson like a special honor too, right?
Yeah, he's getting one of the special prizes, so he's
So,
gonna get 2 trophies on
like,
Sunday.
really, really like Cord Jefferson.
Yeah.
Uh,
So this is gonna be like basically the only guild that Oppie doesn't win.
yes, sure. For documentary screenplay, Joyce, nominees were The Pigeon Tunnel, Stamped from the Beginning, What the Hell Happened to Blood, Sweat, and Tears, It Ain't Over, and Bella. And I have The Pigeon Tunnel.
Same.
Okay, for TV comedy series, Joyce, at least these are relevant to the Emmys, maybe a little bit, right? Somewhat.
This is the last time we can talk about Succession.
For TV comedy season, nominees are The Bear, Abbott, Barry, Jury Duty, and Only Murders, and I have The Bear.
Same.
And then for drama series, Succession, The Last of Us, The Crown, The Curse, and The Diplomat. The Curse nomination, The Canary in the
Over
Coal
the
Mine.
morning show.
Canary in the Coal Mine for your drama series pick for the show.
I mean, that's why I have it in, because it's like the writing support.
And no morning show, which is a bad sign probably. But I have Succession winning here, Joyce. Last time for our pal Jesse Armstrong.
Yes.
And then for new TV series, Joyce, the nominees are Last of Us, Jury Duty, Poker Face, The Diplomat, and Shrinking. I actually have Jury Duty, even though Last of Us is first in the odds.
I have Last of Us, and here the curse to not making it. So
no, I just felt like the Jury Duty, writerly show. I don't know. They do love Last of Us, though. Everyone loves Last of Us.
yeah,
I'm
are
gonna
you
stay
gonna
with
make a
Jury
change?
Duty. I'm just gonna leave it. And then for variety talk series, Last Week Tonight, Daily Show, Late Night with Seth, Late Show with Stephen Colbert, The Problem with Jon Stewart, and Jimmy Kimmel Live. And I have Last Week Tonight.
Same.
And then sketch series. I think you should leave SNL, How To with John Wilson, and History of the World Part 2. And I think you should leave.
Same.
And then limited series, Beef, Fargo, Lessons in Chemistry, Daisy Jones and the Six, and A Murder at the End of the World. And I have Beef.
Same.
Last time for Beef. Last call. And then for TV
It's
movie.
gonna be the same shows winning again, remember? The same shows from January winning.
And then for TV movie, Mr. Monk's Last Case, Quiz Lady, Finest Kind, No One Will Save You, and Totally Killer. I have Mr. Monk's Last Case.
Same. That was
We're
fun.
done. Congratulations to the WGA winners. I look forward to seeing how we did.
The guilds are finally over.
I love putting a little button on award season 2024. Joyce, we have so many emails.
Do we though?
We do. Okay. Emailed us at slugfest@goldderby.com. A lot of questions about all the stuff we talked about. We're gonna start here with Ice. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Love your show. I found your videos very late, but now I'm just waiting for new content every week, and I never miss your videos. Wow. My question is, when will we as a society see Sandra Oh winning her well-deserved Emmy and give her the recognition she deserves? She should have won multiple Emmys for Grey's Anatomy and Killing Eve. I have read the book, The Sympathizer, and I think she will be excellent in the show too. Do you think this is the year we finally see Sandra Oh on the stage accepting her award? Thanks, guys. Huge fan of your work. P.S. As someone who loves the book, I also think Hua should get at least a nomination as well.
Well, we touched on this.
But go into the Sandra stuff, Joyce.
I think for her to win, the show would have to be really big. And she would have to coattail. I think it would be like, she's kind of like Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of like that.
So she could get in.
Yes, because this field is like, who the hell knows?
Do you think Wah could be Killian then? Is he gonna win?
Like RDJ and
We
his
already
lead
got
actor winning
RGA.
again, and then
We
the
already got
show's gonna win.
RDJ. He's there. He's right there. We know he's gonna
RDJ's
win.
already in. I
I,
mean, like he could. Like I think. I mean, that is I like Hua could win kind of like Jarrell Jerome, you know. But I don't think like the the actors. It's not gonna get 8 acting nominations.
so
That's what I'm saying.
here's how I think Wah could win. Is a right now I have a hero in for Shogun first, but I do think, especially if Cosmo gets in, it's a tough.
They'll split the vote.
Well, they could, and I also think it's like he is like not a super showy performance, right? And it is like, so I could just see him not winning, unfortunately. And he could have Cosmo there as like competition, which I think would, if not split the vote, because they're completely different performances and like characters. I think at least you could make the argument that some people who watch Shogun might be like, I prefer Cosmo, right? Like it depends on the viewer. And so that he doesn't have all the Shogun support in that case. So that would hurt. If Ripley goes drama series and Andrew is not going to win, and then Wah is just there as like, I mean,
But if Andrew is here, like I don't know if he's like super strong anyway.
I don't know if he's a lock, but I think he's more of a realistic option. But I think if the Sympathizer is like a big hit because of like the breakout, it is such a charismatic performance. He's so good on it, and he's like the whole show that I do think he could easily like become a winner here.
Yeah, and then especially when you know, like we were talking about last week with this interpretation of Ripley and Andrew's performance, there's not a lot of charm to it because he's just like a sociopath from the jump,
Yes.
you know, and I think that's also kind of some of the normie reaction to the show too, to his performance. Whereas like Hua is just like full on, like you're just in it with him
He's
from
so
the
good.
beginning, and it's
Yeah.
like he's so much fun to watch. And it's also like a really great nuanced performance because I mean, obviously the show is about dualities and identities, and you really understand like everything he's going through, you know, with his purpose, like what his, you know, job basically, and then like his um assimilation or, you know, or whatnot in America, and then like, you know, he's like torn between 2 women too, right? Sandra, like Viley is actually she's I think she's the best supporting actress of the show. She plays Lana.
I would agree with that. She also has the most to do. I mean, this is
Yeah.
a show that could end up with like, like I don't think it's gonna get a bunch of like nominations either. But I'm like, I could make the case for like I don't know. How about Fred Gwynn, right, who plays Bond? I think, right, is he's really
Hmm.
good. That actor is
Yeah,
great.
like all the actors are great.
Like everyone is so good. I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
the acting in this show is more what the branch goes for than the acting in Shogun.
Wouldn't it be funny if this ends up with like multiple nominations? A long way to saying I think Wah could get in, certainly.
Yeah, and then yeah, so then like Sandra's not gonna win. I don't like.
It would just be hard to imagine her winning. Also, because I think the category, like these, anybody could get nominated in any of these categories, and limited actress, supporting actresses, like Wild West, like everything else here. But it just feels like there are other performances I think that would be more likely to win than her.
Yeah. Um, and I
Like
mean she's not in the show a lot, but I don't even think it's like a screen time issue. I think it's just like the the way the character is used in the
if
show.
to go back to a cliche or a concept I do a lot. No disrespect to Sandra Oh. If it was anybody, if it was not Sandra Oh in that performance, and it was some other actor who you're
Who
not
didn't
familiar
have
with,
13 Emmy nominations to her name.
well, would not be somebody I think people would be like, yes, this. If it was just like the same performance, great performance, right? Like, should we say she's great? But if it was just the same performance and a different name, I don't think people would be like, yes, she's getting in and going to win for that
No,
same.
but like I think, yeah, like we were saying, I think it's just people like Sandra Stands just hope dictating that this is
Yes,
the one for her.
yes, right.
So
Um, Would love to see it, but no. This one's from Jason Joyce. Emailed us at slugfest@golden about a couple of shows we don't always talk about. So that's why I was excited for this one. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I love your weekly podcasts. Honestly, a joy in my week. Keep up the good work. I just had a few questions on your predictions, most particularly on The New Look. I love that show, and I think the performances from Juliette Binoche and Ben Mendelsohn are some of their best, but I'm not sure why people aren't really fans of the project. I understand it's the first season and there isn't much passion, but I think it can get in both categories, and I just wanted to ask why they aren't in yours. In addition, the show Fellow Travelers is also something I'm obsessed with, but again, it's in neither of your predictions. I would think that the minimum Jonathan Bailey would get in, especially when the category isn't that stacked. What are your thoughts? Thanks for reading this, Chris. That's from Jason.
The New Look, I think has just kind of gotten lost in the shuffle. And like we know like Apple is a low profile streamer anyway, but um there doesn't seem to be a lot of passion for it. And then there's also a ton of other Apple shows too.
It feels like that's a bigger issue. Like Apple is a low profile screener in the fact that like it's not obviously in the general public, it's not widely watched, but I think
Mhm.
in for Emmys consideration and like people in the industry, it is a top prior. I think it is a top priority to like check out these shows. So I don't think it matters.
Yeah, like I think it's it's gonna be put in front of voters, but I think they also have a lot of other
And
shows
I think that's the
too.
issue, right? I think that's more of the issue is that they're going to be more focused on the morning show and these other bigger, flashier projects than the new look. I mean, they were both in the predictions early, and I think Ben actually is still pretty high. Let me see. Yeah, he's in I think 6 or 7. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's in 6. So technically, based on our
Technically,
odds, he
he's
would
a
get nominated.
nominee.
Yeah, he'd be a nominee.
Yeah, and I think like something that happens with the odds is like when shows like this premiere early, like in January or February, and the public is obviously able to see them, like they'll predict them because they've seen them, right? And then as we know, a lot of people also don't update.
Right.
So then
Juliet is
like
in 7th in the odds. She was in 6th, I think, until Maya Erskine. Uh,
came over.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's what happens. It's like some of these just by virtue of their premiere date, and then being a viewing option, they get chosen in people's lineups, and then people forget about them and don't update even as they're watching other shows as they premiere. Um, and then we still have them high. It reminds me of last year. Remember Olivia Colman for Great Expectations? She was in like fucking third place for forever.
Yes.
I think she was probably predicted for a nomination when we all knew that was a flop and she was not getting in.
Yes.
But it kind of reminds me of that. It's like, I mean, I think with her too, it's also the pedigree too. Like people thought she would also be name checked, but that just tanked that show
Mhm.
completely. But I think she was still in the top 7 by nominations day. So, but then with Fellow Travelers, like that's just a Showtime thing for me.
I think that's for me also. Like I would probably have them both in Matt Bomber and Jonathan Bailey. But I'm just they never ever seemingly cared really about Showtime stuff.
They care about Showtime when it's like a zeitgeist hit, like Yellow Jackets and Homeland and even Escape at Dannemora. Like that was a word of mouth hit, and it got acting nominations and series nomination. Um
So you think the curse will qualify for them in that regard?
no, I think the curse is more like what we were saying with the the writing support. Like again, I would not be predicting the curse if this were last year.
Do you think it helps that these shows are also on like Paramount Plus?
No.
I guess if
But
I
I
was
mean
gonna
like
put
with like Fellow Travelers, I think that's also another one where people want these actors to get in. Like they want Matt Bomer to get in and Jonathan Bailey. So I think some of them are hope predictions too. Um, and Jonathan won Critics' Choice, which is like, of course he did, you know. But that also didn't do well at the guilds either. So
that's another reason it's like out. I don't know. I mean, for Matt Bomber, I would say just I'm almost a hard no because I think the odds here are a little wacky because like Juan and Cosmo are way buried in the odds, and I think they have much better shots than like David Oyelowo or even Michael Douglas, right? These are people ahead of those guys in the odds, and Matt Bomer, who's in like fourth. For supporting actor in a limited series, I do think I guess Bailey would be possible. Certainly.
Yeah, I think like if I've ever to pick one of them to get in, I would do Jonathan.
I mean, maybe to make Jason happy, I'll drop. I have Anthony Boyle in for Manhunt there now, just as a goof.
You told me you did that yesterday for me, and I was like, why?
So I'm gonna put Jonathan Bailey in to make Jason
To make him
happy
happy?
instead of
You're
making
such a
you
people
happy.
pleaser.
What's that?
You're such a people pleaser.
Yeah, it's a Libra. Everybody's got to be happy.
Why don't you tell the Selena haters what you did?
I put Selena Gomez in too.
Why?
Uh, so another thing I was thinking was that nobody seems to really the Palm Royale train is not leaving the station as well as maybe you'd expect, and so I don't think Kristen Wiig will probably get in for it. And I do think Maya Rudolph makes so much more sense just based on the show too. And so like I was like, I'm gonna put Selena in. I had her in 6. They could still add a 6 slot, and then I would just put Kristen back in, I'd imagine, if it ends up being 6 nominees instead of 5, depending on the submissions.
Yeah.
One of the things I was also thinking was, do you think they decide to run Palm Royale as a drama instead of a comedy? And would that help it get into more nominations?
I mean, listen, it was conceived as a limited series.
So if they run it as a drama, I think it would get in for series, and I think it would get in for Kristen and possibly for more of those actresses. Then now I don't have it in at all.
No, because they already made the move like
I know.
to comedy, and it's like too like the stuff they do in the show is more comedic than the comedy in Mr. and Mrs. Smith
Yes.
or Fallout.
Yeah, it's definitely a comedy. So I'm like, I just was like laughing. But anyway, I'd put Selena and Gomez in too. Nothing if not fickle, Joyce.
And then you'll drop her in like 2 weeks.
No, I'll keep her in. I think I'll keep her in. Joyce, this one's from our old pal Terry, who, if you recall, emailed us last year about, or earlier this year about the 60s Oscar campaigns.
Yes, and then we asked about what Oscar season was like,
and he told us.
Back. Yeah.
Well, he's back.
Great.
Hi, Joyce and Chris. So good to have you back commenting on the Emmys now that Oscar season is done. With the dearth of real films to see and the glut of new series and limited series to choose from, I use you as a guide as to what to spend time watching. Thanks for making me aware of the series. Yeah. Thanks for making me aware of the series I may have otherwise rejected, like Shogun and Palm Royale, but especially Ripley. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Since I'm so much older than you, I was wondering if you were aware that Patricia Highsmith novel was filmed once before the 99 version. The 1960 film Purple Noon.
Purple Noon, yes.
Was the first version, directed by Renee Clement and starring Alain Delon. It made Delon an international star. It's still a great watch. I just thought I would recommend it to you as a companion piece to the talented Mr. Ripley and Ripley. Please keep the slugfest going, as there's way too much to dig through, and you two help narrow it all down. Great job. That's from Terry. P.S. For anyone who's interested, Purple Noon is now available on the Criterion channel.
Yes, I've seen that before.
I have not.
Like ages ago.
Good?
Like after I saw the 99 version first, and then I saw Purple Noon at some point.
Like it?
Yeah. Good. Again, different from Ripley, the show.
You ever see Ripley's Game?
No.
Me neither. Isn't that funny? How do we not see that? It was not a big deal when it came out, I don't think.
No. But you know what's also funny? Some of my friends but like when they see or hear Ripley, they think of Alien. Ripley.
Good. Hold that thought, Joyce, because I
know. Do you have a question about that?
Well, I have an email from our old pal David R., who you might know as Grammar David.
About Sigourney Weaver, I hope.
I'm going to read the email. He's not making this up. Hi, Joyce and Chris. My hot takes on Ripley that no one asked for. Number 1, it's a vibe. I want an 8-hour ASMR video of Tom simply walking around his apartment, shuffling papers, lighting cigarettes, typing letters, playing records, and forging passports. Number 2, a wig and some dim light bulbs? No. That's the kind of comical stuff from the Highsmith novels that just doesn't work in a contemporary show. And number 3, give the Emmy to Lucio, the cat. P.S. When I first heard a show called Ripley was premiering on Netflix, my mind went to the Ellen Ripley, and I rewatched the entire Alien franchise, including Prometheus, and both Alien vs. Predator films to prepare. My bad. Love to you both, and David L. That's from David R., aka Grammar
Aw.
David.
Which is also funny because, Noah Hawley is doing an Alien TV show right now, filming in Thailand. So
Yes. And there's another
Uh,
Alien movie coming out this summer somehow
yes.
with Kaylee
So
Spacey.
a lot of Alien Ripley adjacent content.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my friend is always like, it just makes me think of Alien movie and not the talented Mr. Ripley.
Joyce,
But I mean, I think we were kind of, I mean, we didn't talk about it specifically, but yeah, like the whole like, let me slap a beard on my face and like pull the curtains in this
I
version.
enjoyed the show more than you, I would say. That
I
part
mean, I
is
know I enjoy the show. I just don't think it's like a masterpiece. Like I said, it's like
that part
it's
is
it's very watchable. I don't think it's slow like a lot of people do.
no
I obviously love the boat scene.
hilarious.
So,
The part where this is a spoiler for Ripley again. If you haven't watched it, I would turn off. The part towards the end of the show where the police captain is closing in on Tom and goes to meet with Tom, who has already introduced himself to the police captain as Dickie. And to disguise himself, he puts on a wig and pulls the curtains. Truly, such a hilarious scene that I was like,
it's
I actually
so
don't even
funny.
know what I'm supposed to think here. What am I even so? Am I supposed to believe that this police officer doesn't think that this is Tom?
It's so funny. And I'm just like, and like he doesn't even really do anything
Nothing.
drastically to change his voice,
Nothing.
you
He's
know?
just sitting there. And it made me think if you were sitting in a room with somebody who you knew and
Mhm.
they had pulled the curtains and put a wig on, but you were introduced to them as somebody else, would you believe that they were somebody else, or would you know that they're the same person? It made me, I could not stop thinking about this.
It's just so fun. Well, like, I mean, that's what we were kind of talking about last week. Like, you have to suspend a lot of disbelief
Holy cow.
for Liz. Like, it's just so funny. And I was like dying when that happened. And then, and then like the beard was so bad because you see him like go to like a wig shop to get like all these different wigs and he, puts it together and everything. And yeah, and it's just like hilarious because it's like the whole investigation is hilarious.
Is it a referendum on how police are bad?
Yeah. And also how easily you could have gone away with murder in 1961 Italy. It's like never once does he ask to see a photo
It
of
is
Dickie.
it definitely made me think there was a lot more murders in the 60s than there are now.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to commit crimes in the 60s, certainly.
And it's also even when like Kenneth Lonergan comes over, it's like, no, don't discuss like, oh, do you have a photo of your son? Or it's so funny. Like that's the stuff that I enjoy about the show.
Truly a hilarious sequence.
Yeah.
Joyce, this one's from Tim. Emailed us at slugfest@goldenriver.com. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Just finished watching One Day on Netflix, and I thought it was really great. I really love the chemistry between Amika Bod and Leo Woodall. What do you think its chances are this year in the Emmys limited series races? Limited seems to be the most stacked category, but the show is very popular, spending multiple weeks in the Netflix top 10. I think a suitable comparison would be Normal People, which got in the actor, directing, and writing. For One Day, lead actor and writing is probably its best chance at a nomination. Lead actor seems fairly open, and although Leo Woodall wasn't a nominee for The White Lotus, I feel like Emmy voters are familiar with his work on the show. Thank you for answering my question and keep up the great work. You're the best in the business. That's from Tim.
Wow. Gas us up.
I mean, I'm always going to read something with a
Now you're
positive.
gonna predict One Day.
No, but I think that's a good point. I'm not going to predict it, but I do think it's certainly more. It is way more watched than Ripley will be. So
Yeah, but I also don't think it's like it's probably not gonna be embraced like Inventing Anna.
no, I don't think so. And no
Yeah.
disrespect to Leo Woodall, he's not Paul Mescal.
No.
And so
So I'm also just remembering because that year, like it was the pandemic and he was on Zoom and he had like this giant plant next to him when Mark Ruffalo won. So, but like Netflix also, I don't think it's not a priority for them. Like they're gonna be prioritizing Ripley and Griselda, all the light we cannot see. Remember that?
It does remind me, like, funny thing is, like, not everything needs to be made to get awards.
No. Something can just be successful on their own, like The Boys, like ineligible this year for the Emmys, but big success, good show.
Yeah.
You know.
This one's from Jason Joyce. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I was wondering what you thought of the Curb season series finale and the tie into the much maligned Seinfeld series finale. Also, do you think that the excellent guest star Tracy Ullman has a chance in supporting actress now that she was in too many episodes to be in the guest actress, or will Larry likely be the sole acting nominee for the final season? Thanks. That's from Jason.
I don't watch Curb, but I know what happened in the finale because I read about it. So sounds fun.
I would say with Tracy Ullman, no, because the supporting actress field is just filled with all the shows that they like more, right?
Yes.
It's like The Bear and Only Murders Bear, Only Murders, and Abbott are just gonna suck up all
And
the
Larry was
oxygen.
snubbed himself last time, so it's like it's a win if he can get back in.
And I think he'll get back in based on the field, certainly.
Yes.
And the series will get in. I always like the Seinfeld season finale. What about, where are you, or series finale? Excuse me, where are you on that?
Yeah,
train?
I'm totally fine with it. Like I'm not like with the divisive finales like that and like Lost, like I don't really care.
I'm always like, you know what I like? All those finales. Lost, Seinfeld, Sopranos, great finales.
I'm also like not, yeah, like Sopranos also, I'm like, cool. Like I'm not like a stan of any of those shows. Like I watch those shows
A tough thing
and
is, like,
enjoy them.
it's
But
hard to end these shows, and you're never gonna make, even if it's a very faithful, true to the show. Like Seinfeld's finale is absolutely down to the letter faithful to what has become before. People are building up in their mind like what this finale would be, and it's gonna be the
yeah,
funniest
because
thing ever.
it's just not
You can't
what they
win.
wanted.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
kind of
win.
like how people watch movies now. Like they don't like it because it's not the movie that they had in their mind.
Oh yeah. For
Yeah.
a good example of that, check out reviews for Civil War coming to theaters on Friday.
That's gonna be real bad.
Every
If
year
it
there's a
hits.
movie that brings out the dumbest takes. Last
Mhm.
year it was Oppenheimer a little bit, and I think this year Civil War is going to leap forward beyond that, even Oppenheimer.
There's gonna be, I mean, there already is a lot of like,
Oh boy,
but like I wasn't handheld.
oh boy, it's tough.
Yeah.
This one's from Arthur. Hi, Joyce and Chris, love the show. I feel like we've been waiting for Fallout for a long time, and it's finally here. But my main question is not about the show's chances, but whether you think we might get a good old-fashioned Walton Goggins versus Timothy Olyphant showdown for Best Drama Actor. Both were robbed during the original run of Justified, and this only feels right. Joyce, you're
I mean,
predicting this.
that's what I want.
You're predicting this. I know you are.
Listen, I mean, I literally said this to you yesterday. I was like, I need the cache to clear in the prediction center on the website so I can add Walton Goggins because I already had Timothy Olyphant in.
So
Because I
good.
needed Raylan and Boyd together.
This is like you and I both having Jeremy and Kieran in for supporting
Kieran.
actor in our early Oscar picks.
And I mean, listen, again, I'm transparent when I'm hope predicting. I'm hope predicting this to happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. Or like I think there's a small chance of it happening. I think Walton has a better chance of getting in than Tim does.
I've Walton getting in, so I agree with that. I think he does. Just the
Even though
visibility of the
Tim has
show.
obviously been nominated for this role before, but I don't think Justified is gonna make a huge splash.
No, I don't either.
So
That's the issue.
but I would love to see both of them get in.
Would be
That would
great.
be great. Yes. They already, because they're both in Thailand right now shooting their shows. They reunited a couple weeks ago. Walton grammed it.
What is Timothy shooting there?
He's shooting Alien.
Oh, he's in Alien.
He's an alien, yeah.
I didn't know he was in Alien.
You thought he just dropped by the White Lotus to
I
visit?
thought he was maybe going to be in White Lotus as like a surprise. That would be great, right? Wouldn't that be good? I wouldn't
He
put
would
past.
he would be hilarious on the White Lotus.
Maybe he's going to be in it. Why wouldn't he be? He could be in it. You think Mike White probably just typing away, coming up with something to do?
Season 4. Okay. You know what? I think like if Walton gets in for Fallout and doesn't win and the show is a huge hit and all that, I think that just tees him up real well for the White Lotus next year.
Oh yeah, big time, big
Yeah.
time. Like Ryan Gosling for Barbie kind of thing.
Whatever he's in next. I
Whenever
think
he's
that's
in next, a win.
Are you
Immediate
gonna
win.
watch him on SNL this weekend?
No, I'm not.
Future
I mean,
Emmy
I'll watch
nominee
it.
Ryan Gosling, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. I watch the videos the next day. I don't watch it live.
I've never seen an SNL live. I mean, I've never seen a full episode of SNL.
I don't know how that's possible. Not even when you were a kid.
No, like I used to watch it until Weekend Update, and then I would just go to bed. So I've
Okay.
never seen the full 90 minutes.
When I was in college, we used to watch it and then go out.
Of course you did.
Like 1 o'clock, we go out to the bars.
Yeah, yeah. And
Now it's
then
like,
you pull an
imagine
all-nighter. So
being awake. We'd be back by 4. The bar's
no,
still
I'm
open.
like in like deep REM
Holy
by
shit.
1 a.m.
How about
So
9:30? Being
oh my
just like,
gosh, the dream. That's
this
the
one's
best.
from Mallory. Emailed us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Hacks will be back soon. Do you think it has what it takes to beat the bear? I think it's the only show that could possibly do it, but I'm not sure it can slow the FX comedy's momentum, even if I think Gene Smart has a good shot at beating Io. That's from Mallory.
I mean, yeah, like I feel the same.
Uh, you've seen all of it. I've seen most of it. Third
I've
season.
seen season 3 of Hacks twice already.
So
That's how much I loved it.
you have a more firm way to, or more authority in this case, but I think we both agree. Best season yet. So I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, we can talk about it. There's no embargo on the
Yeah.
show, but we'll probably talk more about it when it
Yeah.
premieres in
Yeah.
like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the best season of the show.
It is immediately incredible. The way it picks up. When we talked about season 2 a couple of years ago, because obviously it missed last year because of the strike and Gene's health issues and stuff. The finale was the best episode of that second season, and it was such a great way to reset the show, I felt, and just like, because the first part of the season 2 of Hacks reminded me a lot of Girls 5 Eva season 3, where they're just mostly on the road, and it
You
just
just
doesn't.
don't like when people are on tour.
I guess I don't, because I was just like, it just didn't really like work as well. And then the finale was just so great, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait. Could have been. It was so good. It could have been the series finale. Remember we talked about this, and it's not. And they pick it
And
up.
then I asked when I talked to PWD, I asked him about it, and he was like, it doesn't bother us that people thought that, but it was never going to be the series finale.
And it's so much better for it not being, and they absolutely pay off if you like the finale or were excited about like where the finale ends, like it pays off everything so satisfyingly and just immediately great. And I just love, like I've only watched through episode 5, finished it probably by the time you're watching this tomorrow. I will have finished it most likely.
It's 9 episodes this season.
But it is fantastic. It's just absolutely fantastic. I just love every second of it so much. So I was like, that said, I have no illusions to thinking it could beat the bear.
No, I've always had it in second, and I'm gonna keep it there.
I also am not sure Gene can beat Io, even with so far what we're seeing.
She has a lot of great material. I don't know if she can. I think I might still have her in first just to like have her there. But Io's also gonna have season 3 dropping in June, which is obviously not eligible this year, but it's like the same deal. They'll be voting with 2 seasons in mind too.
Yeah, that's another thing is like I feel like that's the hammer of like to really lock it in is that they have the 3rd season coming, and it's gonna be like everybody's gonna be going nuts for it and like great, and like that's just gonna add to Io's win potential.
Yeah, like Gene is obviously predictably incredible. I mean, you saw 5. Like she has a great
5, I think, will be like the Emmy episode submission for both of them.
I mean, Hannah has stuff in the finale.
Okay.
So
let me ask you this. You watched the whole thing and I haven't finished, but I think we both have Hannah winning in supporting actress.
yes.
Do you think like she will win? I don't know.
I don't know. I would love for her to win. But I can also just see her never winning for this role,
I was thinking that too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's also funny because last week there was a variety feature on the whole season.
Yes.
And I think it was Jen Statsky or maybe it was Lucia Agnello. Like one of them was saying like oh, this is like absolutely a two-hander, the season between Jean and Hannah. I mean, it's always been a two-hander anyway, but um yeah, like Hannah definitely feels like she has a lot more. So like it's that's not a spoiler. The show picks up a year later.
Mhm.
So I think like the character of Ava herself is also a lot more on firmer ground, but then she gets pulled back into Deborah's orbit.
Yeah, obviously she ends up back with Deborah because there wouldn't be a show if she wasn't.
Yeah, and like we've
Mhm.
all seen the trailer. So
Yes.
she gets like roped back in, and it's like it is there. I think there is a lot more of like the two of them this season than there has been in the first two seasons.
From
The fifth episode is basically just like the two of them.
the fifth episode is like the finale of Beef, not to bring up the finale of Beef again, but it felt like that to me. Uh I would say again, I haven't seen the whole season, so I don't know how it like arcs out, and we'll talk about this a lot more in a couple of weeks. But to me, it does feel like it's more of a two-hander because the two characters are more, even though uh Deborah is obviously like incredibly successful, like worldly successful. They're way more on like an even. They're inching more
Yeah.
towards an even playing field, the two of them together. Where in the beginning of the show, Ava was like in the toilet basically compared to where Deborah
Yeah,
is.
because now Ava is a successful writer on this like Last Week Tonight-esque show.
Truly hilarious.
Really funny. And like she's in a relationship and everything. I also love like, I love like fake media. So I love all the stuff, like all the fake TV shows and everything.
I said this to you offline, and I'll say it in here. It's definitely like what if Entourage was good this season to me, and I love Entourage, so I'm like way in.
It's yeah, and then I mean like the whole cast is good too this season, but it's like it is really mostly Hannah and Jean.
We have another email here about the cast too. You actually would I could actually talk about it because she hasn't been in an episode yet, and I would say you probably can't because maybe it would be a spoiler. But this is from Jenna. I'm so excited that J. Smith Cameron is appearing on Hacks, but do you think she can be Jamie Lee Curtis for Best Guest Actress?
Um, Probably not.
Okay.
But I would love to see it.
I had a dream last night
That
that I
you
was
watched
watching Hacks
JSC.
and she was in and I was like, oh, I was like, I dreamt about who she was playing on the show, and I think it's
Okay.
right, so I don't even want to like spoil.
No, we can't say who she's
I'll tell you
playing.
offline, but I literally had a dream. I was like, oh, obviously that's who she's gonna play.
Yeah, we can't say who she's playing or like what happens, but she is guest eligible. She's in 3 episodes,
Nice.
right? Yeah. I think yeah, 3.
So she'll get
One,
nominated, you think?
I think she can, like especially seeing how hard they went with or Hacks guest actresses last time, and then Laurie Metcalf
So far,
one.
from what I've seen through 5 episodes, the only major guest I would say is Helen Hunt, who I think could easily get in as well.
Yeah, so she's guest eligible too, so she comes back later in the season. Christina Hendricks is only in 1 episode. Um, I guess she could get it. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if she's like the one who misses, but she also has a more memorable part, I guess you could say, than Helen, even though obviously Helen is part of the pickleball scene.
Yeah, I was wondering what you thought about pickleball. We'll
Well,
talk about all this.
I don't support
I
pickleball.
know. We'll talk about this when we get closer to it.
Yeah.
But let's see other emails. I skipped ahead to get to that other hacks one because it was thematically appropriate. Oh, this one's from Pat Joyce, another Ripley take.
So
Hi,
much
Joyce and
Ripley.
Chris. The reaction to Ripley seems mixed. Some people were drawn in by the black and white, or perhaps their love for Andrew Scott, while others rightfully pointed out its flaws and that it doesn't just fully work either because of the actor's ages or something else. Does this reaction hurt its Emmys chances even in a down year?
I guess like maybe you could say in terms of like wins, like if you thought Ripley could win series or something. I don't know. I felt like, I mean, this was kind of the reaction I expected. I don't know about you. Like, obviously, there were going to who are gonna be enraptured by the show and the black and white and Andrew Scott and like Steve's Alien and everything. But I just knowing like how I felt about certain things, that I felt like other people would probably feel the same way, you know, with like the ages and then just how like the different take on um Tom and Dickie. And I feel like you don't really get that same, or not same, it doesn't need to be the same as the movie, but if like the relationship between them feels like kind of underdeveloped,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know.
yeah. Um,
So like that, so I'm like, I'm not surprised by some of like the mixed responses basically.
I,
So
the reason I don't think it'll matter is because the right the right people in quotes, not that there's a media conspiracy, but the right people love it. And so the fact that the right people are like, this show is great and it's like art will go a long way to getting it in. I don't think it was going to win anyway, but I think a lot of people didn't have it in for series. Like when I put it in for series, it wasn't widely predicted
I
in
mean, I still
series.
don't have it in series.
So
So
like I think it'll get in for series, and I think Andrew will get in as well. And I didn't expand my predictions anywhere else. I think it'll get crafts nominations too, but it's not going to get like other actors in for sure. But I think it's totally fine, and the
yeah,
response
like
was what I expected.
the only actor I put in was Andrew.
Yeah,
Um, and then like nothing that's happened this weekend has made me think I should put in anyone else. You know, like it didn't really explode
I,
either. Like it's doing okay.
I mean, I think Dakota has a shot again because that category is pretty wide open, but I don't think Johnny Flynn does at all.
Yeah, like, and I think a lot of people like Maurizio Lombardi more as
A lot
Ravine
of fun.
than
I love an Italian
Italian
gumshoe.
Inspector. Yeah.
Love it.
So, but yeah, I don't, yeah, I guess like if you thought like it was gonna win and like dominate like Beef did or something, then yeah, like it was probably affected, but I don't like think it really was affected
No.
by anything. So, yeah,
Last one, Joyce. We got a sports question here.
great.
Not tennis, though. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to that man. It's from Mac. Hi, Joyce and Chris. After the news of Shane Bieber and Spencer Strider's injuries dropping on the same day, what do you make of the state of baseball today? There's clearly a problem with pitching, and the fact that Jacob deGrom has never been able to stay healthy plays into this. I'm just curious about your thoughts, since I know you love baseball. That's from Mac.
Yeah, a lot of Tommy John surgeries.
I'm but a simple man, Joyce. So if you thought I was going to be heartbroken that Spencer Strider blew out his arm,
The fucking Braves, absolutely not.
I was like the memes I was sending to my friends. The oh no, he died from game night, just the best.
I
Uh,
mean, like, well, uh, Loasiaga is also out too. Like, you know,
yeah, Jonathan
like,
Weisinger for the Yankees.
yeah,
Poor guy. They ran him right into the ground. He pitched so well like 2 years and then hasn't pitched at all. Joe Josiah Gray, I think for the Nationals just blew out his
yeah, and
arm.
now like Perez and Marlins too. Like, it's like everyone. I mean, it's an epidemic.
So the big
I
play.
think it's just like everyone is just going too hard and like too many fastballs now. It's just like the increase in velocity
So
and
big
they
velocity
get
increases,
broken.
big spin increases. The pitch clock, the Players Association immediately used this as an
Yeah.
opportunity to say that that was bad, which I'm like, is it though? Because he's been having
No,
injuries
and
for a
I've
long
seen like,
time.
I mean, listen, I haven't like dug too deeply in this, but I've seen like the quote unquote reports being like actually like, you know, like that there hasn't been like a huge change like with like the pitch clock. Like that's not like the main issue here,
And
you know.
obviously, as mentioned here, DeGrom was around before the pitch clock and still injured.
He's just made of glass. We've talked about this
I,
before.
Pitching is every pitcher is it's just counting down till their arm injury happens. It's an
Yes.
unnatural act, and
Yes.
now that they're throwing harder than ever, and also the other thing is like they're not actually pitching a lot. Like these guys obviously are maybe different. Like Spencer Strider obviously has thrown like a lot of innings, and Garrett Cole would be a great example of someone who's actually pitched a lot of innings. But a lot of these guys just aren't like Perez on the Marlins, who you mentioned. Like the guy's thrown like 50, 60 innings, like 70 innings, 100
Yeah.
innings. They're not made to throw like more than that now because they're throwing so hard. Uh, It doesn't bother me. I'm like, that's why I love the Mets strategy this year, Joyce, which was just throw a bunch of arms up there. They're all the same. When one of those guys gets hurt, there's another guy just like him behind him.
Yeah. You just rotate him in and out. Yeah, I think it's like kind of just I don't know, maybe it's like a league strategy or something, but it's like everyone is just kind of going for more like strikeouts, so they want like the curveball and the fastball. So like this is literally hurting their pitchers.
Yeah. It's
You
not
know,
not great. It's not great for the sport, but
no.
as a Mets fan who doesn't like the Braves, and I was Spencer Strider, I was always out on because he's such a dick when he called the Mets a mediocre team. Remember that a couple of years ago when they were actually good?
Yes.
And I was just like, fuck that guy forever. So like, I feel bad. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I was just like, not going to lose sleep over him blowing out his arm.
No.
He'll be back next couple of years. He'll be fine.
A year or two? I don't know. When's
Yeah.
Jacob coming back?
Well, they didn't actually, he still hasn't technically.
Like
They've
never.
not done any Tommy John yet, but I was reading they were like, he's had multiple opinions. They might just announce it after he has the surgery, but he's definitely gonna be out for.
Because he announced it, I think in June, right? Because he only played what, like 5 games last season?
Who, Strider? No, he
5 or
pitched
6.
a lot.
No. I mean like Jacob DeGrom.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah.
he didn't do a lot.
Yeah, like Strider, he'll be out for
Next year. He'll miss the whole year and then come back in 2020.
Yeah, and then like Bieber too. Like my friend loves the Guardians, so she is heartbroken.
I mean, as somebody who does fantasy baseball, I was out on Shane Bieber because I knew he had an arm injury last year. So I was like, no way am I going to go in on that again. I felt bad for him.
Like, I mean, he started the season well too. So
yeah. Strider got an extension last year, so he already got he got a lot of money. I think he got like a 6-year extension with the Braves. Bieber was going into free agency, and so that sucks. So I feel bad for him because I'm like, well, now he's not going to get. He would have gotten a big contract because they like pitching contracts are big, and now I'm like, that sucks because he's not going to get that. He'll get like a 2-year deal worth like 20 million or something or 30 million. Maybe more, maybe 40 million, but one of the years will be deleted,
like the timing just sucks. And then because they announced that like Saturday, right?
It's sad.
And yeah, it was sad. And then she was just like, it was like unexpected because there was like no real sign of it, I guess.
No,
really,
that's
like
always
it's
the
not
worst.
It's not like he's not like a Jacob, so it was kind of, and like like he started the season well too, so but yeah, it sucks for him.
Any more baseball questions? Email here, or tennis. We could talk, Joyce. I'm sure we'll have thoughts.
I mean, they, all the Spaniards are injured too, so.
And we'll be back next week, Joyce. What do we want to talk about next week? What do we got?
Next week? Oh, next week we can do Under the Bridge.
Sure.
That premieres. Are you gonna watch it before then?
I will actually. When we hang up,
you should, because it's easy to watch. The 4th episode is only 35 minutes.
I mean, that's music.
That's sugar levels.
Love that.
And most episodes are like 45 minutes. I'm gonna reread the book.
Wow.
Before next week.
You're gonna finish a whole book in a week.
I'm a fast reader.
Wow.
This is what happens.
I gotta learn this reading thing. I gotta learn how to read. All right, well, we'll talk then. Bye, Joyce.